All right. So as discussed, the objective of this lecture is to begin with the understanding of sales variances. That's an essential aspect of your syllabus. Now, when it comes to sales variances, I would like to inform you that multiple study materials like Becker and Sargent have placed a good amount of importance on this particular topic. A good amount of importance is placed on this topic. Multiple questions come, and the biggest I would say phenomena, or I would say the challenge or the opportunity in this is that they are using alternative terms for the purposes of regular words in these MCQs that are being asked by all of these materials. So in the course of today's lecture, not only are we going to understand the concept of sales variances, but we are also going to try to learn these alternative terms. Now, sales variances, I feel, are the most initial variances to be calculated. Why do I make this comment? How does the budgeting process start? So, the budgeting process starts with the managers and leadership agreeing upon, number one, a level of activity. What is activity? Activity is nothing but your production. Activity is nothing but your production. Now, what is this level of activity based on? This level of activity is based on management's estimate of how much can slash will be sold in that particular period. I am not using the term year, I am not using the term month, I am not using the term quarter, I am not using the term on a semi-annual basis or anything. I am saying period. Period can be a month. As I said, it can be a quarter, it can be half a year, it can be the whole year, it could probably be a week or a fortnight also. Why do I say week or a fortnight? Now understand this. In India, festivals are a very, very common occurrence. One big festival got over recently, and another big festival is coming, right? The festival of Dasera is over. Now the festival of Diwali will come. Now, when the festival of Diwali comes, it is celebrated for 5 days in our country, India. Those 5 days, the consumption of sweets is probably more than the entire year as far as a confectionarian is concerned. So, just for the Diwali period, he will have a budgeted unit of sales that he will keep in mind. What kind of confectionery, what kind of sweets does he intend on selling? How many laddus, how many gulab jamuns, how many jalebis, how many kaju katris, how many pedas, and all of these things, these various plethora of Indian sweets, how many does he intend on selling in the upcoming period? Basis that he will manufacture. Please note that there are certain items in a confectionarian's store that you have to give a special order for. But there are certain items that are always ready. He knows that they are always going to be sold, such as what? Such as a kaju katri, such as probably say a gulab jamun, such as say a jalebi. These items are always there and always ready. But maybe there are some special variety of sweets, special variety of sweets that are probably not ready with a confectionarian, require a special order. All of this, what should be kept ready, how much should be kept ready, is the level of activity that a businessman, a business, or for that matter, a business's leadership determines. My dear students, on the basis of this, they come up with a budgeted level of activity. They come up with a budgeted level of activity of sales for the period. Of course, this is budgeted level. Always remember the words that I had used. This is an estimate. This is a judgment. This is a prediction. Or you can go out there and say that this is wishful thinking also. Sure, why not? Then comes the actual level of activity. Always keep one thing in mind. Always keep one thing in mind when doing variances, when doing standard costing, the budgeted level volume and the actual level volume may not always be the same, for which the budgeted has to be revised and a flexible budget has to be placed in front of you. The flexible budget will have the same volume as that of actual, but at standard rates. यूनिट्स एक्चुअल जितने ही होंगे लेकिन रेट्स स्टैंडर्ड वाले होंगे. इसकी वजह से वॉल्यूम टू वॉल्यूम यूनिफॉर्मिटी आ जाएगी और आप कंपैरिजन कर पाओगे. राइट गाइस, टेकिंग द स्टोरी अहेड नाउ. First and foremost, let us enter into the first sales variance that we have to consider, and that is the sales price variance. What are sales price variances generally a comparison of? Very simple concept, not very difficult. How much I actually sold for versus how much I intended to sell for. मैंने कितने में बेचा वर्सेस मैं कितने में बेचना चाहता था. Obviously, this is your actual selling price, and of course, this is your budgeted selling price. Let us apply our mind and accept that number one, we are in revenue variances. In revenue variances, when actual is greater than standard, it shows that you have actually achieved more than expected. This is good, and it is also known as favorable variances. It is good and it's a favorable variance. In the situation where your actual is less than your standard, it shows that you have actually achieved less than expected, and that is bad, that is unfavorable. You need to keep this much in mind. So always, if your actual selling price is greater than your budgeted selling price, this is favorable. But if your actual selling price is less than your budgeted selling price, this obviously is adverse. Keep one thing in mind: we are punishing, we are correcting, we are analyzing the performance not for how many units you have sold, but for how much you have sold it for. How much you have sold it for. This is what you are analyzing over here. How much you have sold it for is a comparison of price. Therefore, when price is the focus, always remember here you are going to have actual quantity being expressed, being used for the purposes of completion of this particular sales variance. Please understand this concept. So, sales price variance, you may want to go in for a screenshot for this. You may want to go in for a screenshot of this. This is very, very useful. It shows the thought process. Kindly take a screenshot as I move ahead. Now, in sales variances, I have sales price variance, which is a comparison of actual selling price with your budgeted selling price multiplied by the actual quantity sold. Here, since it is price, always keep in mind you will have actual quantity. because your idea is to reward or correct or punish the manager for achieving more or expected sales price per unit. That right there is very, very important. Therefore, what is the duty of the sales manager? The duty of the sales manager is to ensure that the budgeted sales price per unit is A, either achieved, or B, even better, exceeded, or B, exceeded. Why is the focus there on sales price variances? See, remember one thing, basic economic tells me that when the price will fall, the quantity sold will increase. And when the price will increase, the quantity sold will decrease. This is basic economics. This is the basic law of demand that we have learned, that the demand of a quantity shall increase when its price falls, and the demand of a quantity shall decrease when its price increases. So reducing the price and selling more units is a common sense. Any manager can achieve this. But selling at that price, is that profitable for the company? Might not always be so. You might argue that sell more units, you will get more profit. But what if the market size is not of those many units? What if the market size for that particular product is only for a limited number of units? What are you going to do? Are you going to sell a lower, a higher number of units at a lower price? No, you will sell only those many units, and you have to maintain the price competition. You have to maintain your required prices to achieve your targets. Until and unless you achieve that, how is it that you are going to achieve your goals? How is it that you are going to achieve your profit that you require? Remember one thing, profit is not only units sold, profit is also price of the commodity per unit. So for profit to be balanced out, the price also should be a favorable number, and the quantity sold also has to be a favorable number. Therefore, in sales price variances, the focus is on comparison of the selling price multiplied by the actual quantity sold. I hope everybody, all the participants have understood this formula. I hope all the participants have understood this formula. And let me remind you that if you are to refer to yesterday's lecture, this formula is quite similar to material price variance, because remember your formula for material price variance, it was standard material price minus actual material price multiplied by actual quantity of materials purchased. It is the same formula, just being packaged so that it can be for sales. I hope everybody is able to establish a relationship between how to remember the formulas by remembering just one set of formulas. I hope I get a thumbs up for that. I'll just demonstrate here. You may want to take a screenshot. You may want to take a screenshot of this, right? And I'll just demonstrate what I'm trying to say by how to recall and remember the formulas, right? Hoping that the screenshot is taken. See, remember, yesterday what did we do? We did material price variance. Now keep one thing in mind. It's good that I'm bringing this point up. What was this a comparison of? It was standard price minus actual price multiplied by actual quantity. My dear friends, here standard price has to be greater than actual price. Then it is good. Then it is favorable. Why? Because material is a cost, right? Now, when it comes to sale price variance, and of course, you can say this, this is bad, this is adverse. Now, remember one thing, sales price, material price. Again, it's a comparison of what? Actual price and standard price. But here, we'll just tweak the formula. It is actual selling price minus standard selling price multiplied by what? actual quantity sold. Here, of course, your actual selling price should be greater than budgeted selling price or your standard selling price, whatever you choose to call it, for it to be good or favorable. Why so? Because these are revenue variances, and revenue always actual should be more. So on the basis of this, you have understood and you can memorize both the formulas or conceptually retain them at the time when it is necessary. And I guarantee you that you will be able to do labor on the same way, and you will be able to do variable overheads also on the same way. So variable overheads, labor, sales, and material, all prices at one go, you will be able to revise the formulae. All efficiency related, volume related, usage related, you will be able to revise at one go. All the mix related, you will be able to revise at one go. That's how it generally works out. I hope this is clear, ladies and gentlemen. Just a second, please. I'm going to stop the lecture for a span of 5 minutes. Something needs my attention. Right. So now we continue with our topic of sales volume variances. We've completed sales price variances. Now look at the funny part in this. This is really very, very interesting. Now understand the concept here. Yesterday, when we did material variances, we had taken an example, something similar to this. What was that example? That A 8 kgs, B 4 kgs, you will have 12 kgs, 2 kgs will be your wastage, right? And 10 kgs will be your output. Now, we stated that we have got an output of 1000 kg. We have got an output of 1000 kg. This was actual. This was actual. And our input was somewhere 1250 kg and 250 kg was our wastage. Accordingly, we made then a flexible budget. This flexible budget, and this was for somewhere, say, I think this was for 1 unit or 10 units or something like that. This was for something
10
like 10 units, right?
10 kg.
This was for 10 units. And now we have to do 1000. So how much will we have? 800. So A was 800, and we revised this to say that this is our waste, and we revised this to come to the level to say that 1000 kgs are output, and we got this to the same uniform level. That's the flexible budgeting that we did in case of materials which are a cost. In case of materials which are a cost. I state for the record. I state for the record. This will not be done for sales. I state for the record. This will not be done for sales. Sir, why do you say this? My dear friends, please understand the common logic that I'm placing in front of you. Please understand the common logic I'm placing in front of you. The first budget that the management will make will be the sale budget or the sales budget. This will never be made for 1 unit. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It will be made for what the management actually expects. What the management actually expects. Please agree or disagree with my statement. Please agree or disagree with my statement. Give me a thumbs up if you agree with my statement. No management is that naive or inexperienced, or I would use the word stupid, to make a budget for 1 unit sold. They will always make a budget for the number of units that they are actually expecting to sell. Am I clear about this? Give me a thumbs up if you are able to understand this statement. I am expecting responses from you. No management is that naive or stupid or ridiculous that they'll say, I want to sell 1 unit, 1 unit. Are you crazy? They'll say that, for example, they want to sell, say, 10,000 units in the upcoming period. My dear students, remember that this is budgeted. And your actual performance, say, for example, comes to 14,000 units. Sir, when we did material, we revised this and we made this 14,000. That is okay for cost. That is okay for cost. But this revision will never be made. This revision will never be made for sales variances. Why? My dear friends, if your budgeted quantity is equal to your actual quantity, sales quantity variance, or for that matter, sales volume variance will never be experienced. Remember my words again. If I am saying that budgeted quantity becomes equal to actual quantity, when does this happen? This happens in the case of a flexible budget. Please agree with my statement, ladies and gentlemen. Does this happen in case of a flexible budget? Give me your responses, yes or no. This happens in case of a flexible budget. Thumbs up, please. Thumbs up, please. I want responses. Does this happen in case of a flexible budget, that budgeted quantity and actual quantity becomes equal? This is there only in case of a flexible budget. My dear friends, this flexible budget enables uniform comparison of cost. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. But think about it logically. If in case of sales, if budgeted quantity becomes equal to actual quantity, I want sales variance to be calculated for two items. Number one, price, and number two, quantity sold. Sales variance for quantity sold, i.e. volume, will always be nil, because budgeted quantity minus actual quantity, answer will always come 0, and this is nothing but stupidity. This is nothing but stupidity. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Your budgeted quantity has to be equal to your standard quantity, your actual quantity, for a flexible budget where you are comparing cost. I believe you. I stand by this statement. I have said this statement. I pronounce this statement. Wherever you want me to pronounce it, I will go and I will say this statement loudly on a microphone. But if you are wanting me to say that budgeted quantity should be equal to actual quantity for sales volume variances, I will not say this to myself in silence also, because it is stupidity. Because budgeted quantity is what you want and actual quantity is what you sold. If they are always made equal, you will never be able to see whether or not your sales manager is able to sell those many units of that particular commodity. Please give me a thumbs up for this particular statement that I have come up with. Understand the depth of the statement, that for the purposes of unit quantity sales of volume, you can never ever have for yourself a flexible budget, because in a flexible budget the quantity budgeted will be equal to the quantity sold, and your quantity budgeted will always be equal to quantity sold. That will show that your managers are the most efficient people in the world. They are achieving all their targets. But is that true? Absolutely not. They are not. Therefore, this logic will not work for sales volume variance. Remember, in sales volume variance, what happens? Please focus on this particular statement. I'm talking about sales volume variance. This compares what I budgeted to sell versus what I actually sold. My dear friends, if my budgeted sale is greater than my actual sale, this right here is going to be adverse, because I sold less than expected. And if my budgeted sale, right, is less than my actual sale, this right here is favorable, because I sold more. This is an important aspect to be remembered over here. This is an important aspect to be remembered over here. And on the basis of this, let me go on to you and tell you that if budget is revised, that is made flexible, that is, it is made flexible, my dear students, please note, my dear students, please note that quantity sold, that is of course budgeted, will then become equal to actual quantity sold, and there will never ever be a variance in this case. There will never ever be a variance in this case, which will show that all sales managers are efficient, and this is not the case. They may not always be efficient. Therefore, you need to appreciate that when sale budget is made, it will be for the quantity management aspires or predicts to sell. This quantity has to be compared with your actual to arrive upon this little bird here called sales volume variance, which is a comparison of actual quantity minus budgeted quantity. But here is the twist. This is multiplied by standard contribution per unit, not the selling price, by the contribution. Now, Americans go for contribution. Indians accept, Britishers accept standard selling price as well. I don't see much of a difference in either of their approaches, because contribution is a measure of income and revenue. Please agree with my statement. Contribution, is it or is it not a measure of income and revenue? Tell me that. Agree to my statement. What is contribution? Sales minus variable cost. It shows you how much you have earned. So contribution is a measure of income and earning. Agreed or disagreed? Please give me a thumbs up. Agreed or disagreed? Please give me a thumbs up. So is contribution a measure of earning, revenue, income? Yes or no, students? I'm waiting for a response from you. Yes or no? Is contribution a measure of earning? Is contribution a measure of earning? Yes, of course, contribution is a measure of earning because contribution is derived from sales. Similarly, sales price is also a measure of earning. So whether you take sales price here or you take contribution here, it is the same thing. However, students may ask me a doubt. Now, please do one thing. Take a screenshot of this. This conceptually has to be cleared. This conceptually has to be cleared. Take a screenshot of this. I hope it's taken. I hope it's taken. Now, let's go ahead. Students argue, then why don't you do budgeted contribution minus actual contribution? The reason is, my dear friends, budgeted selling price is one thing and actual selling price is another. But if I was to take contribution in price variance, it will have the impact of variable cost. Now, it is possible that actually my selling price may be high, but my variable cost I am not able to control and it goes very, very high. Let us say that my budgeted selling price is 10 and my actual selling price is 20. So I've got a fantastic salesperson, but my production manager is not able to keep the variable cost low. And here where it is supposed to be 4, over here it comes to be 18. Why so? Because this is in the hand of the sales manager and this is in the hands of the production manager. And we are calculating sales variances, or rather I will say sales price variances, where I want to catch hold of the sales manager and I don't want the production manager to be in the picture. That is why for sales price variance, I have actual sales price minus budgeted sales price multiplied by actual quantity, so that I am able to focus only on the sales manager by the medium of sales price. But when it comes to sales volume variance, while I have budgeted quantity versus actual quantity, since I am focusing on volume, I go one step ahead to see what is the actual impact of the sales that I have achieved. How much are they truly contributing towards my company's incomes and revenues? I hope you are all with me on this particular point. Do we agree or do we disagree, students? Yes or no, please tell me that. Do we agree or do we disagree to this particular statement? Kindly give me a thumbs up if understood. If not understood, the floor is open for discussion. And we can have a conceptual, in-depth debate, discussion, argument on this particular topic. I hope you're with me on that. Everybody, are you with me on that? We are ready for having a discussion on this particular aspect. My dear students, if there is anybody who has a doubt on this particular statement, if there is anybody who has a doubt on this particular statement, kindly unmute and speak up. Yes. Would you like a re-explanation, or do you want me to answer any specific doubts that you have?
Yes, sir. Read, sir. Read.
You want a re-explanation? Happily. See, I am talking about sales price variance. What is my objective? To check if sales manager is able to achieve the budgeted selling price. Case A, actual selling price is greater than budgeted selling price. This is a good sign. The variance is favorable. The manager deserves a reward. Actual selling price is less than budgeted selling price. This is bad. This is adverse. The manager deserves corrective action. But here, if I take contribution, what will happen? What is contribution? Selling price minus variable cost is equal to contribution. So my dear friends, contribution is achieved by both the sales manager, and since variable cost is involved, it is also a part by the purchase manager. Both these guys are responsible for contribution. They both achieve contribution together. Contribution is the child of the sales manager and the purchase manager. How? Because the sales manager contributes the sales price, whereas the purchase manager contributes the variable cost. Here, even if the sales manager, let me assume that the sales manager is efficient. And what if this purchase manager is inefficient? That means the variable cost will be high. Then you will say that the contribution is low and you will punish the sales manager. That is illogical. The sales manager, poor fellow, has achieved this by bargaining with the customers. Doesn't he deserve a reward for this? Yes, he does. But if you bring this down on the level of contribution, परचेस मैनेजर नालायक निकला, उसने वेरिएबल कॉस्ट ज्यादा बढ़ाया, उसकी वजह से साला उसका पनिशमेंट, उसके इनएफिशिएंसी का पनिशमेंट तुम ये बेचारे सेल्स मैनेजर को दोगे क्या? सेल्स मैनेजर बर्दाश्त करेगा क्या? वो बोलेगा अरे तुमने बोला 10 में बेचो, मैं 18 में बेच के आया. सेल्स मैनेजर क्या बोलेगा? तुमने बोला 10 पे बेचो, अरे मैं 18 में बेच के आया. वेरिएबल कॉस्ट मेरा लुकआउट नहीं है, मेरा काम बेचना है. माय जॉब इज टू सेल. Why are you holding me responsible for your variable cost? How are they my responsibility? Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Therefore, for sales price variance, the comparison is actual sale price minus budgeted sales price multiplied by actual quantity. Because where it is price, it is actual quantity. So you can actually calculate the impact of the price on your operational activity level. So here you don't take contribution because sales manager should be rewarded for this. Rather, in this case, अगर ऐसे हुआ तो उसको तो बेचारे ये परचेस मैनेजर के परफॉर्मेंस पे डिपेंड करना पड़ेगा, अपने परफॉर्मेंस को अचीव करने के बावजूद या ना करने के बावजूद. So whether you sell at the price or you don't sell at the price, directly be punished or penalized for that much amount. That is the logic of sales price variance. That is why in sales price variance, we don't use contribution. Are we clear about this, students? Yes or no? Now give me a thumbs up whether or not you have understood. Everyone, yes or no? Have we understood? So PD's doubt is solved, but apart from that, have the others understood? Yes or no? Please let me know, guys. Yes or no? Please let me know, guys. Anybody with a doubt? I'm assuming there is no response here. That means we have all understood. But now when I talk about sales volume, variance, I will have the actual quantity sold compared with budgeted quantity sold multiplied by standard contribution per unit. Why standard contribution per unit? Because here I am trying to see the impact of quantity on my actual earnings. Why are you not seeing the impact of price? Price, I kept it to that level. Now I want to see whether selling this much helps me recover my costs. Therefore, quantity will help me to recover costs, not just price. Price helps me to stay competitive. Please understand this much. Quantity never helps me to stay competitive. Quantity enables me to recover my costs, my dear students. This is a golden knowledge that is being given to you right now. This is logic beyond reasoning. And I challenge you that go and ask the logic of this. If you have ever learned standard costing anywhere to any professor, I guarantee you that there might be only one or two professors in the market who will give you this logic. I am one of them. The other one, I'll tell you offline. Why should I promote my competitors? Just kidding. The other one is a chartered accountancy professor. The other one is a chartered accountancy professor. And I'll happily tell you his name. His name is Dhaval Purohit. He will be able to give you this logic. Otherwise, nobody else will be able to give you this logic. Least of all, and let me go on public platform to say, you go to any bloody coaching class in CMA domain, Zell, Miles, Northstar, I don't know, Simandar, I don't know, FinPlan, they don't have the guys to give you this in-depth knowledge. I say this on a public platform. I challenge on a public platform because it has never been explained on their platforms on this level. I challenge. It's a statement on a public platform. Go on. Sue me if you want to. Dekhi jayegi. Baguya. But it can't be, it is not explained. What is the logic? Price enables you to stay competitive. My dear friends, quantity doesn't enable you to stay competitive. Quantity enables you to recover your costs. You are not going to say that 5-star is competitive because it sold those many chocolates. 5-star is competitive because it sells for 10 rupees. Bar 1, which is a Nestle product, is far less popular than 5-star. Why does it sell for 10 rupees? Because price enables it to stay competitive. Why doesn't Bar 1 sell for 5 rupees what 5-star sells for 10 rupees and then decide to take over the market? Because it is not financially feasible for them. They will not be able to recover their variable costs also, leave alone their fixed costs. So Bar 1 is a chocolate bar that sells for 10 rupees and 5-star is a chocolate bar that sells for 10 rupees. They are both sold at 10 rupees to stay competitive. But how does Cadbury know that 5-star is recovering its costs? Not by selling for 10 rupees of chocolate bar, but how many chocolate bars, what quantity of chocolate bars are being sold in the market enables them to understand this particular logic. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Therefore, in sales volume variance, you have to go for quantity. And if I want to recover my costs, I will not take into consideration price. I will take into consideration contribution. That is the logic that the Americans use. Are you with me on this, my dear students? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Yes or no? Kindly give me a thumbs up for that.
Sir, did you understood the contribution part? Can you explain?
See, contribution enables you to see whether or not you have recovered cost. Agreed or not?
Yes,
What is contribution? Sales price minus variable cost is equal to what? Contribution. Are you with me on that? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Correct? This is contribution. Agreed or disagreed?
Yes, sir.
So how much quantity are you selling to recover your costs? Will price enable you to do that? Or will contribution enable you to do that? Obviously, contribution will enable you to do that. Understood? Yes or no? My dear child, whether you have recovered your cost, you need price for that, selling price or contribution. Of course, contribution, because contribution enables you to understand whether or not your variable cost has been recovered. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Therefore, it shows you whether or not your that particular product has got the ability to recover the fixed cost or not. That is the further logic that is used by this variance. Understanding what I'm trying to say? Yes or no?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Understanding. So actual quantity sold compared with budgeted quantity sold multiplied by standard contribution per unit. By what? Standard contribution per unit. Why standard contribution per unit? It shows me whether or not I can recover my costs. Are we understanding the logic? Yes or no, everybody? Yes or no? Yes or no? Are we on that? Are we on that? Can we have thumbs ups here? Can we have thumbs ups here? Are everybody understanding the logic? Right, guys? Right, guys? Now, after that depth, I come to sales mix variance. Now, sales mix variance is exactly the same. Exactly the same as material mix variance. Exactly the same. What did we do in material mix variance? We used actual inputs as the base. Here also in sales mix variance, we will use actual sales as the base. Now, let us take an example. Let us take an example. What is an example of this particular item? Let us say that there is a sports good company that manufactures cricket bats, and it may, or let us make the example American, right? Americans are getting used to cricket, but they certainly play baseball. So there are baseball bats and there are baseballs, right? The leather ball with which they play the game of baseball. Now, my dear students, if I am a batsman or a batter, as it is called, I am more interested in having a good quality baseball bat. Or if I am a pitcher or a bowler in the game of baseball, I am more interested in having the right glove and the right baseball, which I will then use for the purposes of pitching and bowling in the game of baseball. As you can see, I'm more of a cricket person. I'm not a baseball guy, but I'm trying my best to help you to understand. So I want a bat and I want a ball. Now, if I'm a batsman, a batter, I will go for a bat. But if I'm a bowler or a pitcher, I will go for a ball. So right now, let's say that there is this X company that has made a budget, that the number of baseballs that it will sell, let us say, is 10,000, and the number of bats that it will sell, let us say, are 20,000. Maybe there are more batsmen in this particular market that they are looking at. So 30,000 are the units that they want to sell. But actually, their salespeople end up selling 8,000 baseballs, and baseball bats they are able to sell 30,000. Now, suddenly we are looking at what? 38,000. My dear friends, now we are looking at sales mix variance. We want to penalize or we want to reward for achieving this mix. For doing what? For achieving this mix, my dear students. Are you with me on that? We want to penalize or we want to reward for achieving this mix, not for achieving this goal. Therefore, here I will make a flexible budget and say that what if I sold 38,000 units? What if I sold 38,000 units? Then that would be divided in the ratio of 1:2. Why 1:2? 10,000 bats and 20,000, 10,000 balls and 20,000 bats. So 38,000 will be divided by 3, and I will say that I am able to sell over here 12,667 balls should have been sold had I sold 38,000 units. How many baseballs did I sell? I sold only 8,000 baseballs. Now, how many bats should I have sold had I sold 38,000 units? Obviously, it's the missing figure. 38,000 into 2 divided by 3. Your answer will be 25,333. Now, in 38,000 units of sales, I should have sold the 25,000 units of baseball bats. My bat salesman was able to sell 30,000 units of bats. This bat salesman is a good fellow. Reward the bat salesman. This ball salesman, the person whose responsibility is to sell the ball, is not a good salesman. He should have sold 12,667 units of baseballs. This guy bloody sold only 8,000 units of baseballs. It's not good. He's not a good salesman. He should have come close to this target. But I repeat, the bad salesman, he's a good fellow. In 38,000 units, I would have expected him to sell 25,333 units, but he came with a performance of 30,000 units. This bad salesman is a fantastic salesman. Give him a bonus. But the ball salesman, don't give him a bonus, because we have been able to achieve this high performance only because of this bad salesman. Sir, what do you mean? Suppose the bad salesman would have performed as per his target only. This ball salesman would have achieved this much. We would have achieved a sales of 33,000. We would have achieved a sale of 33,000. But my dear friends, this ball salesman would have sold much less than 8,000, because once he saw the bad salesman pressing for a higher sales, he had no option but to press for it. But he was supposed to reach to 12,667. उसकी गाड़ी 8,000 पे ही बंद पड़ गई. फिर से रिपीट करता हूं, शुद्ध हिंदी में समझने की कोशिश करो. जब 30,000 का टारगेट रखा था, तब बैट सेल्समैन को 20,000 बैट्स बेचने थे और बॉल सेल्समैन को 10,000 बॉल्स बेचने थे. एक्चुअली 38,000 का सेल हम करके आए और बैट सेल्समैन ने उसमें 30,000 बैट सेल्स करके दिखाई. मैंने बोला रुको, 30,000 का सेल्स 38,000 के सेल्स के साथ कंपेयर मत करो. यहां पे हम सेल्स वॉल्यूम के लिए पेनलाइज नहीं कर रहे हैं. हम यहाँ पे सेल्स वॉल्यूम के लिए करेक्शन नहीं दे रहे हैं. हम यहाँ पे सेल्स वॉल्यूम के लिए बोनस बेनिफिट रिवॉर्ड नहीं दे रहे हैं. हम यहाँ पे सेल्स मिक्स के लिए बोनस बेनिफिट रिवॉर्ड दे रहे हैं. हम 2 यूनिट बेच रहे हैं. हमारा टारगेट था 1:2 सेल्स रेशो कायम रखना. हमारे बैट सेल्समैन का काम था 2/3 सेल्स अचीव करना. 38,000 के अंदर अगर हम 38,000 यूनिट बेचते तो बैट सेल्समैन पे जिम्मेदारी आती कि वो 25,333 यूनिट सेल करके दिखाए. पर हमारे बैट सेल्समैन ने तो भैया 30,000 यूनिट सेल्स करके दिखाया है. ये बैट सेल्समैन में सेल्स करने का हुनर है, सेल्स करने का इसमें लॉजिक और पावर है. ये बैट सेल्समैन को बोनस दे दो, क्योंकि उसको 25,000 ही बेचना था भाई. ये 30,000 बेच के. बैट सेल्समैन भी तो खड़ा होके बोलेगा ना, व्हाट अबाउट द 4,667 बैट्स दैट आई सोल्ड एक्स्ट्रा. मेरे को कुछ तो दो. मैं आपको क्या 4,000 क्या मैं 14,000 बेच के दूंगा, 14,000 क्या मैं 44,000 बेच के दूंगा. अरे भाई मेरे को कुछ तो बोनस दो. मेरे पास कुछ तो मेरा भला होए, मैं तुम्हारा भला करूंगा. बॉल सेल्समैन की बात आ गई. 38,000 के टारगेट में भैया जी से एक्सपेक्टेड क्या था कि 12,666 तो बेच के है, 12,000 यूनिट तक तो बेचे. भैया जी ने क्या किया, 8,000 ही बेच के है. Does he have the potential, the logic, the talent, the understanding of the market, the persuasive ability? No, he does not. This salesman does not deserve the bonus. My dear friends, अरे in that town where this sales happened, वहां पे सभी बैट्समैन है. Everybody wants to become the baseball version of Sachin Tendulkar or the baseball version of Virat Kohli. They are not bowlers, they are not pitchers, they are all batsmen. These are qualitative factors. Standard costing, yesterday it was clarified in yesterday's lecture, does not give zilch to qualitative factors. They care about quantitative factors, numbers, numericals. As per numbers, numericals, this ball salesman is a failure. Yes, he's a failure. How did I come to know that despite exceeding the budget, one of my salesmen is a failure? Because of sales mix variance. Which salesman should be benefited? Bonus should be given. He should be given advantage. He should be given promotion, higher commission. How do I understand? By sales mix variance. If my sales mix variances are good, I will be able to sell those products that are probably giving a higher contribution to the company, and the more efficient salesman can be used to sell those particular products only. And this is exactly the model that is followed by a company called Eureka Forbes. Eureka Forbes sells a product known as Aqua Guard. It is a water purifier. They give their productive or their target achieving salesmen the more expensive aquaguards to sell, because these guys know how to sell the expensive aquaguards. These guys know how to sell the expensive aquaguards. I remember, this is a personal story. I remember the aquaguard that we purchased, many years ago. Of course, we purchased few more after that. There was this latest model of aquaguard that my dad purchased, and this aquaguard salesman, I still remember that guy when he had walked home. He was tall, he was handsome, he had this very handsome mustache. He was one impressive looking fellow, and he spoke with such politeness, such courtesy. My dad had not decided to buy that particular model. He wanted to buy a cheaper model. But this guy gave such insights, he gave such a productive answer for my dad's doubts. My God, my dad was floored, and he got the more expensive one. And when he left, my dad told him, I know that I wanted to buy the cheaper one from you. I bought the more expensive one because I'm so thoroughly impressed by your ability to sell. And I wish you best of luck. You will be able to sell more because you changed the existing customer's mind. Now, when that salesman will be checked for efficiency, he's selling more expensive units. Shouldn't he deserve a bonus? And how will you come to know? Only because of sales mix. Because in mix, you will see the 4A, B, C, D types of different products in a sales mix only. You will not be able to see this in volume. In volume, you are able to compare only 30 with 38. But in mix, you are able to compare this 20 with this 30 by the use of a flexible budget. Does everybody understand sales mix variance? Yes or no? Please give me a response. Yes or no? Please give me a response. Are we understanding sales mix variances? Are we understanding sales mix variances? Right, guys? Everybody has understood sales mix variance. Now, my dear friends, the conceptual explanation for sales variances has come to an end, and what we are required to do is solve a problem on these sales variances. So here we have a problem for you on sales variances. Cadbury's sales manager presented the following sales budget to the CFO. Just a second, let me just pull this to the side so that that band doesn't, disturb you. Just a second. अरे ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? Okay. Now it will go. Just a second. Yeah. Now you can see it without that band getting in your way. Now, Cadbury's sales manager presented the following sales budget for CFO for the first quarter of 2018. The product, he said, is 5-star. He said 10,000 can be sold at 10 per unit. Our budgeted variable cost is 4. Why budgeted? Because this is sales budget. Then he says, I'll sell 4,000 silk at 100. This is 25 variable cost. Company says agreed. So the company is looking at a total sales of 14,000 units. How many units? 14,000 units. Let us see what happened in reality. In reality, 5-star only 5,000 units were sold. Compare and see, 5-star has been sold a lot less. So you will say that the manager is bad, the salesperson is bad. But look at how much he sold and came for. He sold for 30 when he was supposed to sell for 10. He sold half quantity, but at 3 times the price. कैसे डिसाइड करूं तू अच्छा है या बुरा है? कैसे डिसाइड करूं तू राम है या रावण है? बेचना था उससे आधा बेचा, पर साला 3 times the price पे बेचा. Fantastic. 4,000 had to be sold. You sold 6,000. Very good. But you were supposed to sell for 100. यार तू तो 75 में बेच के आ गया. क्वांटिटी अच्छा किया, प्राइस बुरा किया. 5-star क्वांटिटी में वाट लगा दिया, लेकिन प्राइस में तो चांद को छू लिया. Fantastic. The actual variable cost is given. Now, my dear friends, let me tell you one thing very, very clearly. At the very outset of this discussion, this actual variable cost per unit is of no use to you, because in all of your formulae that you are going to use now, you are going to be using budgeted contribution margin. For sales volume variance, it is actual quantity minus standard quantity multiplied by budgeted contribution margin. For sales mix variance, it is actual sales mix minus budgeted sales mix multiplied again by budgeted contribution margin. Multiplied by what? Multiplied by budgeted contribution margin. Here you need to understand that. So budgeted contribution margin is what you require. You do not require actual contribution margin. So in your examinations, if with respect to sales variance, the question is asked, actual contribution margin is useless data. It is useless data. It is given to confuse. Please keep that much in mind. I hope you agree with this statement and make sure that you have a screenshot of this. Helps you to understand the, I would say, application of the formula faster. Now, the first is sales price variance. My dear students, what is sales price variance? It is a comparison of actual selling price with the budgeted selling price upon the actual quantity. So for 5-star, what are we looking at? For 5-star, the actual selling price is 30 and the budgeted selling price is 10. My dear friends, अच्छा हुआ कि बुरा हुआ? Of course, अच्छा हुआ. This is a good thing. Why is this a good thing? You sold for much higher than what you expected to. And how many units are you selling? You are selling actual 5,000 units. So this is going to be 20 multiplied by 5,000, which gives you the answer as 1 lakh. And this is 1 lakh favorable. What is this? This is 1 lakh favorable. This is 5-star. Now let's take a look at silk. In silk, what is your actual selling price? Your actual selling price is 75 and your budgeted selling price is 100. For how many units are we looking at? We are looking at 6,000. So 25 multiplied by 6,000, which is equal to 1,50,000 adverse. 1,50,000 adverse. So over here, the 5-star manager deserves a bonus on the grounds of selling price, and the silk manager will face corrective action on grounds of selling price. This is what we need to understand. This is our takeaway for sales price variance. I hope everybody is with me on that. Kindly take a screenshot of the same.
Taken, sir.
Right. Let's move ahead. Sales volume variance. My dear students, please keep one thing in mind. Here you will go for budgeted quantity without revising it. So what is your actual quantity sold minus your budgeted quantity sold? And what is the standard contribution per unit? Sales minus variable cost is contribution. Here it is 6. Here it is 75. I hope everybody is with me on that. So here go for 5-star. What is the actual quantity of 5-star? Oh, I'm sorry. It is 5,000 minus the budgeted quantity, which is 10,000 multiplied by 6. So of course, this is 5,000 multiplied by 6, which is equal to what? This is 30,000 adverse. And now I'm looking at silk here. Silk is you are supposed to sell 4,000. Oh. I'm sorry, I've written actual quantity first. So let me write 6,000 here. And you are supposed to sell is 10,000. A slight error in writing. 6,000 you actually sold and you were supposed to sell how many? 4,000. And what is the budgeted contribution for silk? The budgeted contribution is 75. So 2,000 multiplied by 75, your answer is 150,000 favorable. Let me just check this. Actual is 5,000 minus 10,000 multiplied by 6, which is 30,000 adverse, is the right answer. And here it is 150,000 favorable. So what is your total sales volume variance? Your total sales volume variance is minus 30,000 plus 1,50,000. Your answer is 120,000 favorable. Your answer is 120,000 favorable. I hope you are all with me on that. I hope you are all with me on that. Sales volume variance is 120,000 favorable. Now, over here, the 5-star manager deserves corrective action. Why he deserves corrective action? On basis of what? Quantity sold. But what about the silk manager? Silk manager deserves reward. Deserves a reward. On the basis of what? On the basis of quantity sold. I hope you are all with me on that. I hope you are all with me on that. Yes or no, please tell me. Kindly give me a thumbs up if you all are with me on that. Kindly give me a thumbs up if you all are with me on that. Yes or no? Are we able to understand this concept? Are we able to understand this concept? Everybody, are we able to understand this concept? Super, super. We are able to understand this concept. Now, kindly take a screenshot. Kindly take a screenshot. Assuming screenshot is taken. Assuming screenshot is taken. Now we go to sales mix variance. Here you need a flexible. There is no doubt. So first I'll write down whatever was your budgeted activity. Now please pay attention. Whatever was your budgeted activity. 5-star and silk. How much? 10,000 and 4,000. And this became how much? 14,000. But this was your master budget. And this is your actual performance. This is your actual performance. Your actual performance. What is there in 5-star? In 5-star it is 5,000. And in silk it is 6,000. 11,000. Now what will I bring this down to? I will bring this down to 11,000. I will bring this down to 11,000. Now 10:4 is 5:2. Suppose you are selling 11,000 is my question. Suppose you are selling 11,000. How much 5-star would you have sold? You would have sold 5/7 5-star. And how much silk would you have sold? You would have sold 2/7 silk. How come? It is 10:4. That is 5:2. So 11,000 into 5 divided by 7. Your answer is 7,857. And for silk, your answer will be 11,000 into 2 divided by 7. Your answer is 3,143. 3,143. So this gives you a total of 11,000. Now, in a lower sales target, is the 5-star salesman achieving his goal? No. 5-star salesman is actually selling less even by the standards of a lesser sale target. And what about the silk salesman? Silk salesman is selling almost double over here, almost double. So who deserves a bonus? Who deserves a bonus? The silk salesman deserves a bonus. Now, how do we write down this formula? Kindly pay attention. Kindly pay attention, because in the conceptual explanation, we did not write the full formula. So write down like this. It is actual sales mix minus budgeted sales mix multiplied by budgeted contribution per unit. So for 5-star, what is your actual sales mix? It is 5,000. What do you actually achieve? How much were you supposed to achieve? 7,857. You were supposed to achieve how much? 7,857. And what was your standard contribution per unit? Here it was 6 and here it is 75. So here it is 6, and for silk it is going to be how much? It is going to be, for silk you are supposed to achieve 3,143 and here you have achieved 6,000. I wrote it ulta. So sorry. Your actual is 6,000 and you are supposed to achieve 3,143. So you have achieved more. So multiply by 75. 5,000 बेचे, एक्चुअली कितना बेचना चाहिए था? 7,857. बुरा हुआ, तुमने 6 बेच के दिखाया. तुमसे अपेक्षा कितने की थी? 3,143 की अपेक्षा तुमसे थी. तुम सारा 6,000 बेच के आए. तुम्हारे अंदर दम है बॉस. right? So 5,000 minus 7,857 multiplied by 6, your answer comes to 17,142 adverse. And for this other fellow, it is 6,000 minus 3,143 multiplied by 75. It comes to 2,14,275 favorable. I repeat, so this will be 6,000 multiplied by 3,143 minus 6,000 minus 3,143 multiply by 75. It is 2,14,275, and here it is 5,000 minus 7,857 multiplied by 6, which is 17,142, right? So plus 214,275. Your answer is 1,97,133 favorable. That's your answer. That's your answer for sales mix variance. And with this much, your concept or your topic per se of sales variances has come to an end. But here I would like to bring to your attention one important point of discussion. Kindly take a screenshot of this. Kindly take a screenshot of this. Kindly take a screenshot. Now that screenshot is taken, understand that sales price variance, which is given by actual selling price minus budgeted selling price multiplied by actual quantity sold, is also referred to as flexible budget revenue variance. Sir, where are they referring to this as? This is referred to the same in Becker publications. This is referred to the same in Becker publications. We will discuss with MCQ. We will discuss with MCQ on Sunday marathon lecture. On Sunday marathon lecture. Right, guys? Here, sales variances come to an end. Are there any doubts or specific questions for sales variances? The floor is open for discussion.